Despite Nintendo definitely moving on to the Nintendo Switch 2 in 2025, there still are a lot of awesome upcoming JRPGs to get excited for on the Nintendo Switch. And in this video, we're going to be focused and isolating the top 10 upcoming big JRPGs for the Nintendo Switch. But before we get into that, what's good everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you are someone new, and click that notification bell for the best Nintendo Switch RPG lists and more. Now let's go ahead and jump right into number 10. We're going to get focused in on Lunar Remastered Collection coming out sometime in 2025. This one gets you a awesome package complete with Lunar Silver Story complete and Lunar 2 Eternal Blue complete. Now this game has it all: enhanced graphics, audio, quality of life features, and for the first time ever on modern consoles. Now that's big for me because while I did play the old school Lunar games, remember playing them like at mom and pop shops and things like that, I never got a chance to really sit down and play through them in my home. This is a game from the Sega Saturn PS1 era, really weird in terms of how it came out and what was going on, but it was definitely one of those RPGs that you saw at the store or that you saw your friends play if they had a Sega Saturn or if they had a PS1 or if you had one and you were able to play one of these cult hit type of games back then. It was a sight to behold. It was a really cool RPG to play. I'm really looking forward to them bringing back these old school games. I love it when they do. I think that it's been a long time coming for a game like Lunar. It's got great battle systems, even still in today's day. I think with the quality of life features, it's going to make it even better. Enhanced graphics and audio. It's going to be fantastic to play on the Nintendo Switch anywhere that you want for these old school type of games. So I always say this, guys, when there's old school collections, when there are old JRPGs that are stuck on systems like the Sega Saturn or the PS1 or other platforms, you gotta bring them over, you gotta modernize them, you gotta put them out on new consoles for people to be able to enjoy the yesteryear and see where we came from when it comes to JRPGs. So Lunar Remastered Collection makes it in at number 10. Number 9, Suikoden 1 and 2 HD Remaster coming out on March 6th, 2025. And just like the Lunar games, it's great. You get a compilation here, 2 games, 2 beefy games that have a ton of content both within them with Suikoden 1 and Suikoden 2. And just like I said with Lunar, you've got to bring back the old school JRPGs, PS1 era, but I think that this one's really special. And the reason why is that they took their time to make sure that it's going to be a high quality remaster of the game. They delayed it a bit because sometimes when you're bringing over some of these old games, they don't do the best job. We saw it with the Tales of Symphonia remaster that came out. That's a game from the GameCube. It plays worse than what the GameCube was back in the early mid 2000s. So when you bring back some of these games, you got to do it right. And it looks like Konami is getting back on track recently with the Castlevania games. And now you have this right here, Suikoden 1 and 2 coming back. There's going to be a host of quality of life options. You have enhanced audio, you've got extra detail in the environments, you've got better resolution, and on modern platforms once again for the first time. So very good to see that Suikoden 1 and 2 HD Remaster coming early 2025. Next up at number 8 is Tales of Grace's F on January 16th, 2025. This one is one to look out for. Now, one thing that Bandai Namco did after the debacle that was Tales of Symphonia, that remaster, I think they said we took it personal because people came after them left and right. And honestly, the Tales of Vesperia remaster was okay, but it absolutely could have been better on all platforms. I think they took it personal with those 2 other ones, and Tales of Grace's F, based off of all of the hands-on, the previews, what we've seen, and even them releasing these specs beforehand, is going to be quality on every platform that you're playing on. Now, there is a little bit of a bad side note with the Nintendo Switch version, is that it's not going to be 60 frames per second the whole time. From what I understand, looks like it's going to be 30 and maybe 60 in battles, or just 30 throughout the whole thing. So keep that in mind. But if they can lock it in at that 30 and then make sure it stays at that 1080p resolution whether you're docked, and then 720p when you're playing portable mode, I think it will overcome some of those issues that some people might have not having the 60 frames if you can take that version anywhere that you want and you don't have a Steam Deck or some other way to type of play it portably on other platforms. So I think that the Nintendo Switch version hopefully is very good here. And I think that it will be based off of what we've seen so far. They're including all of the DLCs. They're including everything here and a host of, once again, quality of life features, upgrades, different things added in. It is going to be a much better experience for fans to play. Definitely do not sleep on Tales of Grace's F coming out. It is going to be a fantastic game. Even if the Switch version maybe isn't up to what you want, check it out on other platforms, but I do think it will be one of the better remastered games to come over to the Nintendo Switch platform. Next up at number 7, Freedom Wars Remastered. Got a lot of remasters and old school games coming back because we absolutely need to see these coming back. This is coming on January 10th. This is a old PlayStation Vita game stuck on there with Sony in Bandland, or with Sony in No Man's Land, and out of nowhere, here comes Dimps, the original creators of the game, and Bandai Namco getting the license, well, Dimps getting the license, then finding Bandai Namco to help publish this game, and I needed this, because Freedom Wars was one of those titles that I started playing on the Vita, and then I just stopped playing it, and it's a really cool game. You've got online multiplayer, you've got single player gameplay, you've got a bunch of different missions that you can do, you've got a lot of customization in the game. It is really in depth for what they tried to do, and the game looks so much better. And just like many of the other remasters that I've talked about on this list, you're going to have a host of quality of life options. You're going to have new features added in. You're going to have more gameplay options. It is going to be great for new fans to be able to jump into something like this, especially these old PlayStation Vita games. Bring them all over. Soul Sacrifice needs to be next, or some of those other PS Vita games that are just stuck there. But it's really good to see that Freedom Wars Remastered is coming in. I think it's going to be one of the better games when it comes to old school titles brought over to the Nintendo Switch Remastered. I think they're going to do a good job with it. January 10th for that one. We are now going to move over to number 6, The Legend of Heroes Trails Through Daybreak 2, the first actual brand new title that we're talking about here on this list. This is February 14th, 2025. I'm looking forward to this a lot, but I need to really kind of lock in and get through Trails Through Daybreak. I'm pretty much done with Metaphor Refantasio, so I do think that I have a clear path to finish Trails Through Daybreak 1, then get ready for Trails Through Daybreak 2 in February. So I'm very excited about that, but I think that what makes this game awesome is that it's the hybrid nature of the gameplay. I talked about Metaphor Refantasio, hybrid when it comes to action RPG and turn-based. Well, The Legend of Heroes probably does it a bit better with Trails Through Daybreak 1, and especially Trails Through Daybreak 2 from what I've seen. You've got a full suite of action RPG moves and abilities and things that can happen in the overworld, then you could knock them straight into the turn-based battles for even more depth and other new combat options. It is probably the best turn-based / hybrid system that you have out there, considering everything that it does. And I'm really excited to see what they take even further. After playing through a number of hours of Trails Through Daybreak, I think that Trails Through Daybreak 2 is going to up the ante based on everything that I've seen. So I'm absolutely looking forward to playing the game. I think that the graphics, for what they are, look beautiful as a AA type of RPG. I think the art style is also really good, and I'm looking forward to seeing where the story goes, because it's really interesting in Trails Through Daybreak 1 and Trails Through Daybreak 2. They always have the characters, they always carry everything over. It's always really fun to see how they transition to the next arc or the next game in the arc. The Legend of Heroes, Falcom, they've been doing this for a long time. It's hard to keep up with everything, but this is one of the better ones, if not the best one in all of the Legend of Heroes games, in my opinion, from the combat systems that I have played. So The Legend of Heroes Trails Through Daybreak 2 makes it in at number 6. Coming in at number 5, Fantasian Neo Dimension, December 4th, 2024. Very much looking forward to this game as well. This is a Hironobu Sakaguchi game, the creator of Final Fantasy. He's got me super excited to get into a game that he's played again. It's been a while. The last time that I was super excited, it was Lost Odyssey, Blue Dragon, The Last Story. These games were a decade plus ago. So he's finally able to take Fantasia Neo Dimension, get it off of that Apple Arcade prison that it's in, upgrade it, enhance it. It's going to be better on all the platforms, on Nintendo Switch as well. work with Square Enix, have a physical copy and digital. This is great for all of the fans. I think that Fantasia Neo Dimension is going to do a lot of cool stuff with this combat system and how it works, how they've even explained it. But I think that the graphics and the scenery, despite not being the most technologically superior when it comes to what they do, I think that it's visually striking. The art style is beautiful and the music is incredible from what I've heard so far. So I am very much looking forward to Fantasia Neo Dimension December 4th. I think it's going to be one of the better JRPGs from a smaller developer out there that's got some backing with Square Enix here. Getting it off of the Apple Arcade prison after a number of years is great stuff. Now let's get into number 4, guys. The Legend of Heroes, it's back. Trails in the Sky, the first. This is coming out sometime in 2025, and I'm actually a bit more hyped for this game than I am Trails through Daybreak 2, and let me give you guys a reason why. Finally, I can go back to where it all began. I can start from where everyone online and from when even Falcom says, hey, this is where you need to start playing, because there's so many Legend of Heroes games, so many different arcs, so many different ways, and they've tried to put it to where you can play and you can look at what happened, but it's not the same as actually going through, experiencing it, seeing the characters yourself. It's one thing to watch on YouTube or to see some roundups of things, but it's another thing to actually experience it and get all the little details here and there that these developers, Falcom, so intricately craft into their games. So this is the reason why I'm super excited for this game, because it's the first one to get into and they've completely remade it. It looks so much better than what they had back then on the PSP and everything. They've completely remade it. They've got a cool new battle system in terms of how you get into it and a bunch of other options, although they're preserving the guts of what made that battle system good. And I think that what they've shown so far, definitely pushing the Nintendo Switch graphics further than any other game that they have. This is definitely the best looking Falcom game on the Nintendo Switch, hands down. I haven't seen another game from what they've shown that they've done that looks as good as this one. We know the gameplay is going to be awesome, so I think this is going to be one of the better remakes that I've seen out there for the Nintendo Switch, and it's exclusive to the Nintendo Switch as well. So they're focusing all of their resources, all of their time, all of their effort on that. And I'm thinking it's because of the shifting dynamics with these sales in the Legend of Heroes series, as we've seen in Japan and we've seen worldwide. The Nintendo Switch has now become the better selling platform for the Legend of Heroes games based off of the sales numbers that are available and based off of what Nippon Ichi and Falcom has stated about the game. So I think that's the reason why the game is now an exclusive, but I do feel that it will go over to other platforms in the future as well if they don't announce one near launch or something like that. I do think that it will come over to other stuff. I think they're just focused on, hey, let's just get this done as good as possible on the Nintendo Switch first and foremost, because it looks like a pretty big effort in terms of what they're doing, and I'm very much looking forward to it. We are in the top 3. Let's talk about Atelier Yumiya, the Alchemist of Memories and the Envisioned Land. Long name, incredible game, probably. March 21st. 2025, and man, this game looks awesome. We have a brand new trailer as of the time that I'm recording this video that is up. You guys are seeing it, and it just looks better and better. Now, here's what they said. Because the Atelier Ryza series did so well based off of the sales numbers, they were able to invest extra into Atelier Yumiya. That's how you build on your franchise. That's how you build to create something better. Because as great as Atelier Ryza was, a bit rough around the edges on the Nintendo Switch and even on PlayStation and PC and other systems. But this one looks like they completely went back in and said, okay, we're adding more detail. We're really revamping the combat. We've got a cool new character. Love the design of the character. We've got some great effects that we're doing. Looks like they've completely revamped what they have with the Atelier alchemy system, but then added in a really cool active time battle type of system that blends some action and turn-based RPG elements into a perfect fusion of looking awesome and fun in the JRPG realm. So I am down for that. I am down to play this game. It looks great. This could be one of the better JRPGs released in 2025. I'm not going to sit there and say maybe Game of the Year candidate for myself, but absolutely might end up as a finalist or so. Ryza was definitely close some years. Just a few things held it back, but I do think that Atelier Yumiya could bridge the gap when it comes to the quality of the games typically and what people feel in the JRPG realm. Because Ryza was great, I tell you, Yumiya seems like it might be better than Ryza based off of what we've seen so far, but we gotta wait on it. Either way, incredibly excited. That's why it made it to number 3 on my list. Next up at number 2, Pokemon Legends ZA, sometime in 2025. We don't know when this game is coming out. There's been a lot of turmoil with the leak and people saying there's playable builds and all this other stuff, and I don't care. What I know is that I played 80 plus hours of Pokemon Legends Arceus, and to me, that was one of the most engaging Pokemon experiences that I've ever played. Not just on the Nintendo Switch, I mean ever played when it comes to the franchise of Pokemon. Some of the best Pokemon games, Pokemon Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Pokemon Red and Blue, or Fire Red, Leaf Green, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. Yeah, all of those have the multiplayer component that this game is missing, so it's hard to kind of put it above some of the best Pokemon games. But when it comes to a single player focused system with brand new ideas that feel fresh, innovative, and fun, Pokemon Legends Arceus plays with the best of them. I love the strong style and speed style that they have in the game. I like how they kind of took things up a little bit with the difficulty and seeing Pokemon that are higher levels out there. I think that it was a lot of fun to play through the single player and put yourself against actual Pokemon in boss battles. There's so many different ways they can expand on this franchise, and Pokemon Legends ZA looks like they're going to take the aspect of building up the Lemoyne City and taking it to the next step with mega evolutions in the game. And there might even be more of a multiplayer component that we don't know about. Pokemon Legends Arceus did have trading, so we'll see what they do in this one. But if they want to focus in and make the best type of single player Pokemon experience that they can make, like they tried with Pokemon Legends Arceus, I am down for that for Pokemon Legends ZA, and I think that's what they're going to be doing. So mega evolutions are in, building up the city, reconstruction is in. Seems like there's going to be a number of different locations you can go to, and I hope that they really take the feedback from what happened with Pokemon Legends Arceus in addition to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and really improve what they're going to be doing. And it seems, based off of what we know, that that might be the case in terms of them and the hires that they've made and some of the things that they've done after Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and some of the feedback. So Pokemon Legends ZA makes it to number 2 on the list. And coming in at number 1 is Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition on March 20th, 2025. And the only thing that I don't like about this is that it's one day before Atelier Yumiya that comes out. And I'm going to be juggling this behemoth of a game before another huge game that's high on my list is coming out. There's just not enough time and too many awesome games. But Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, despite it being a remaster of an older game that's going on a decade old, will actually be a decade old next year around the time that we get it when it comes to the Japanese launch, it's still going to be an incredible experience that will have things for people that have already played it, because they are going to be seemingly fixing the ending of the game. It looks like there's going to be a big expansion or something added on to the experience, in addition to a bunch of tweaks, quality of life features, and potentially a brand new or expanded online multiplayer. If you've been following some of my other videos with Xenoblade Chronicles X, I will make sure to have that linked in the description below, or at least in the comment section. You guys gotta watch that video. Looks like there might be something bigger with the online play. But getting back to why Xenoblade Chronicles X is number 1 on my list here for top 10 upcoming Nintendo Switch JRPGs is because it really takes everything that you love about open world games and JRPGs and kind of throws them together in a very unique mix. This is by far the most impressive open world that I have seen in a Japanese RPG, and I can't think of many other games that are better when it comes down to it. Not off the top of my head. There's definitely some great JRPGs with cool open worlds like Xenoblade Chronicles 3, for example, and other titles, but when it comes to what Xenoblade Chronicles X did on the Wii U, it was really impressive how they got it to look and run, and it's on the Nintendo Switch now. They've swapped the color palette, looks more vibrant and lively. It looks just better all around. So Xenoblade Chronicles X has the look to it, but it also has the gameplay to back it up. very unique, different type of class system to where you can branch off and learn different things. And the only, I would say, game in the series that actually has dual pistols and assault rifles and kind of more realistic looking guns, and not like ether rifles and things like that, but actually realistic sounding and looking guns that you can swap on the fly with melee weapons, so you can kind of go far away and attack in addition to up close. Plus you have the huge mechs as well that have a ton of customization to it. So Xenoblade Chronicles X, despite, yes, if you play Xenoblade, you're going to feel a bit at home here. You're going to know what's going on if you're used to playing Xenoblade, but it adds so many different things that make it different from the other Xenoblade games. If you're watching this and you want to get into Xenoblade, this is essentially a standalone. You can just play this game. If you want to play this game, you don't have to have a ton of knowledge, or really any knowledge, about the other Xenoblade games. Now, it'll help you a little bit here and there, but for the most part, it's a standalone. Nintendo's also stated that, so you can just jump right in without having to worry about knowing anything else about the series, and I think that's also great too, as something that's coming pretty late in the life of the Nintendo Switch here. So those are my top 10 upcoming Nintendo Switch JRPGs. What do you guys think? What are you most excited for? Let me know your top 10 or your top 5 in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch RPG videos and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.